Bella, Romid, Eliaster, Nad. Prince Grayson leave for Fort Ludar after the verdict. Laurel needs to rest a lot. They stop in Alarion, not far from the border of Peroria, and get some deer to eat, rest a bit before heading over the mountains. Just before they reach the cabin, they feed on some mountain goats. Sea cabin. Prince Grayson decides to stay and send the rest home with instructions that Aomid check on the troops and take 9 messages back to King Ayan. Radion joined the 3 already in the air. Laurel was struggling early on during the flight. How was she doing? Prince Grayson asked Radion. As soon as I get to the mountain range between our borders, we are going to have to stop and let her eat some real meat, said Radion, referring to the mountains that separated Alarion and Peroria. Laurel hasn't eaten a meal as a dragon since they got to the castle. A dragon could survive without shifting, but once they were shifted, they had to have the kind of food that could sustain them if they were to operate in their dragon form for any length of time. You are all going to need to eat, commented Prince Grayson. I don't care if we are in Alarion if you see any mountain goats. We will just have to make sure to watch for patrols. If they are as friendly as Little says they are, I figure you can just tell them where we are coming from, and it should be no problem, of them to land in. Prince Grayson couldn't help but wonder what could be done about the dilemma they had left behind at King Liam's castle. He could hear Radion checking up on Laurel every so often. Then there would be a snort or two. Prince Grayson had no idea if it was because Arleo or Bodego would try to tell a joke, but Radion wasn't taking part in their banter. He was pretty much quiet, lost in his own thoughts like Prince Grayson was. But either way, Radion's mind was as heavy as his. Finally, they spotted a flock of mountain goats big enough to give Laurel a decent chance to catch one. Radion brought them to Prince Grayson's attention as he heard Radion shout to Laurel, "Thera is a good one." Arleo, Bedigo, and Radion circled around the goats while Laurel dove in. She missed a couple before grabbing a good-sized ram. After she had gotten hers, the other 3 scooped up theirs effortlessly. She followed them to a clearing, barely big enough for all 4 of them to land. The clearing was at the bottom of a deep valley hidden in the mountains. There was nothing ladylike in the way the female dragon tore into the goat. Laurel was famished. "She wants another one," groaned Radion. Prince Grayson laughed. "Let her get another one. She is probably starving because she hasn't shifted in years. There has to be more goats around here somewhere. Maybe even some deer." Radion grumbled. "No. We need to push on until the cabin. We are going to rest here about half an hour before we all shift back for a minute. I want you to tell the rest of them that you and I are going to stay at the cabin for a while, because I need some solitude." "Won't they think that's strange?" wondered Prince Grayson. "The dragons will understand. I have been acting melancholy. You will just have to explain to the humans." "Tell them I am upset about Nova," instructed Radion. "Are you going to tell me what you are really up to? I have a feeling there is more to this than what you are telling me." "We are going to get our mate," snapped Radion. "Did you really think we were going to leave her behind?" "I don't think anyone is going to agree to that," said Prince Grayson thoughtfully. "No, I don't suppose they will. So you are not going to tell them that?" Prince Grayson could tell Radion was in a mood, but he couldn't blame him. He wasn't doing so well himself. He gave them all a little bit of time to let their dragon stomachs settle after their meal. "Shift," he commanded Radion. Radion complied instantly. Bodego and Arleo looked at him in confusion. "Shift back," he commanded all 3 of them. Arleo and Bodego shifted as quickly as Prince Grayson had. Laurel was still struggling with everything. It took her a few seconds more. "What's up?" asked Eliaster. "Why aren't we in the air already?" First off, Radion thought it would be better for Laurel if we let her rest a moment after such a heavy meal. If we try and rush her, we could hurt her. Prince Grayson shook his head. "You already knew it would take a minute to get back to Fort Ludar, let alone get home." Romid looked grimly at the skies. "We need to get to Fort Ludar. The weather might be getting bad. Thankfully, we are less than 5 hours from the fort," commented Eliaster, looking at the dark clouds in the distance. "It's just that it's going to get dark when we get there." "We need to go," agreed Romid. All right. We do need to get going." "How are you feeling, Bella?" asked Prince Grayson. "I am actually feeling better now that Laurel has eaten," she replied. "I will be okay as long as I get a night's rest after we get to the fort." "You will," promised Romid. Before we get back into the air, I have something I need to tell you. Romid looked at Prince Grayson expectantly. I am not going with you to Fort Ludar. What do you mean you are not going to Fort Ludar with us? Romid nearly growled at his nephew, not even trying to hide the look of displeasure he felt at the announcement. Eliaster jumped into the conversation. If you aren't going to Fort Ludar, where are you going? You aren't going back to get that princess. Prince Grayson raised his hands and stepped back away from the animosity his uncle and friend were displaying. Bella looked shocked, seeing how the prince was being spoken to. She had never seen anyone speak to royalty like that in Alarion. Her instinct was to step in front of the prince between him and his friends. Prince Grayson laughed. It's all right, Bella. They aren't going to hurt me. Look, guys, he said reassuringly. I am not going back to the castle, but Radion wants some solitude. He wants to stay at the cabin a few days. The cabin? Asked Eliaster. Yes, the cabin, answered Prince Grayson. We flew over it just outside of Fort Ludar. Little knows where it is. I saw it, stated Romid. You have been there several times if I remember right. What are we going to tell King Ion when we show up without you? Tell him the whole story. Tell him that the Princess of Alarion is an ancient dragon, named Nova, that Radion knew, and how she rejected everyone at the ball. Tell him that Radion is upset about what transpired and he wants to be alone for a while. How do we explain Bella's presence? Insisted Eliaster. That's easy. Romid was there. He needs to tell my father about how we averted war. Eliaster, you go with Romid and let him. Prince Grayson emphasized him, do all the talking. Romid knows how to be discreet about things. Prince Grayson hoped Romid understood he needed not to mention Nova was Radion's mate. Romid was looking at Prince Grayson strangely, not sure what exactly he wanted of him. Eliaster being there made it difficult for them to communicate plainly. You want me to give every detail? I don't expect you to remember every detail. I can fill in the blanks when I get there. That told Romid everything he needed to know. There were some things Prince Grayson wanted to tell King Ion himself, when he was ready, and he didn't have to draw an illustration for Romid to understand what it was. Prince Grayson was relieved when he saw the look on his uncle's face, indicating that he understood completely. Anything else? Asked Romid. Yes. I need you to check out the troops for Dad and carry back any messages the soldiers have for their families. Let Little know I will be checking in with him in a week or two, so he is not be worried about me. What do you want me to do? Asked Eliaster. I want you to make sure Bella gets out of those servants' clothes and into something more appropriate before getting back to the castle. See what Little can provide at Fort Ludar. You get her into training and into the women's dorms as soon as you get back to the castle. Prince Grayson turned to Bella. I expect you to apply yourself to training your dragon. I want to see lots of improvement when I get back. Bella looked at him in wide-eyed wonder. I am not going to the castle to be a servant again like I was in Alarion. All three men chuckled at her. Her surprise and innocence were endearing. No, said Prince Grayson. Your dragon needs to be developed. You have a pretty strong dragon, even for the women in Peroria. I will not see that talent wasted. After you train, if you still want to work in the castle, we will see what can be arranged. Bella nodded her head gratefully. She felt overwhelmed by all the changes happening so quickly in her life. She wasn't sure how she was going to manage, yet somehow she knew it was all going to be good. There was an underlying excitement building up in her that she couldn't express. Are you sure you don't want some company at the cabin? Eliaster insisted. I don't feel good about leaving you alone. I know you don't understand, but the ancient dragon spent a lot of time alone. Radion is feeling moody and sad. I just need to give him some space before we get back to the duties that are expected of me at home. Are we ready to go? Romid inquired. The sun is not going to be out much longer, and those storm clouds seem to be building. I don't want to wear Bella out too much before we get to Fort Ludar. Let's go, said Prince Grayson. We will fly together until we see my cabin. He shifted and headed to the skies. His companions followed him. Laurel did much better this time, getting off the ground. The winds got a bit chilly as the front blew in. Fortunately, it was a dry front bringing stronger winds, but not much else. After a couple of hours, the cabin came into view. Radion passed on farewells to Arleo, Betigo, and Laurel, to give to their humans for Prince Grayson. Radion dropped into the clearing by the cabin while the rest of the group kept flying to Fort Ludar. As soon as he shifted to Prince Grayson, Radion told him, "Go change out of your clothes into those old rags left in the closet." "Are you kidding me?" exclaimed Prince Grayson. "Those clothes are so old they're probably falling apart. Do you think we can walk up to the castle of King Liam and sneak in looking like your royal highness?" snorted Radion. "Actually, you haven't revealed any of your plans to me, so I have no idea what you have up your sleeves," snarked Prince Grayson. "Interesting," mused Radion. "I don't have any sleeves to hide tricks in like a magician, but I think you just gave me an idea. Quickly change. We don't have much time to get to Halua." "Halua? Why are we going to Halua? I thought we were going to rescue the princess." "One thing at a time," said Radion as Prince Grayson shifted back after his friends were out of sight. Radion took off in the dark night,